Londres.
Ah, but what about all the people who are left behind? What about those who can't constantly reskill as they freelance their way through our exciting new tech world? Artificial intelligence is changing the world of work beyond recognition. We're going through something that is squashing into a few years what happened over centuries during the Industrial Revolution. And yet, we're weirdly fixated on the handful of remaining heavy manufacturing jobs. Coal mine, a steel mill, a shipyard closes, big front page news. Very little reference, very little acknowledgement of how many jobs are lost by people who used to work in video rental stalls or as travel agents or as secretaries or archivists or local newspaper journalists. Every year, incredible figure this, every year 13% of jobs become redundant through technological change. And yet, here's the thing, unemployment has never been lower. Despite huge levels of net inward migration, unemployment is lower than it was in 1975. There are more people working in Britain than ever before in history. I think there's a slightly patronising, almost snobbish tone creeping into some of the coverage. The idea is that if you're a university graduate, you can adapt and you can get the hang of new technology, but if you welded steel for a living, it's going to be much harder. Do you know what? Actually, everyone is going to be equally affected by the changes in technology. Why would you go to a GP when you've got a device that can censor your basic life functions and diagnose without human error? Why would you go to a solicitor when you can do your conveyancing or your basic contracts better with an algorithm? All of us are in the same boat. But here's the thing. The context in which this turnover is happening is one of rising living standards and rising aspirations. Never mind the lawyer or the doctor. Someone who is on benefits now is living in absolute terms better off than the average worker in the 1930s. The truth is, our standards of living rise even if we don't improve our own productivity, provided that we're in an economy where productivity generally is rising. Right? If you're in a job where productivity hasn't changed very much, say you're a barmaid, the fundamentals of your job are not so different from what they were in Shakespeare's time. Okay, maybe you can use a washing machine for the glasses, but fundamentally your productivity hasn't changed very much. But think of how your standard of living has changed. Think of the way in which you are now likely not to die in childbirth or of diseases or of malnutrition. Think of the extraordinary entertainment options that you have on your screen. Think of almost any metric of education, of calorie intake, of height, of literacy. Why are you so much better off when you're doing fundamentally the same job as your great-great-great-grandmother 500 years ago? Because everybody else's productivity has increased as supply chains have grown and as more and more people have been drawn into the network of exchange. And that's why, despite everything, life gets better for most people in most countries most of the time.